As you start to mix more and more channels of audio together, things can get a bit overwhelming. If you find yourself confused by the number of channels you're mixing, it might be time to start employing groups. No, not the bands on stage. I'm talking about mute groups, DCA groups, and subgroups. These are mixer features that can make your job easier, help solve problems, and even allow you to do some cool creative things as well. Groups allow you to control the overall mix with fewer faders. You can make instrument groups, such as guitar, keyboards, or drum kit. Groups can also be made from multiple microphone types, such as headsets or lavaliers. You could even use physical locations on a stage in spoken word or theatrical performances. In this video, we're going to break down the different types of groups and show you how to use them effectively. Let's start with the simplest of the three types, mute groups.
There are a lot of times when it would be useful to mute a number of channels at the same time. Maybe you want to mute everything except a stereo break music input in between sets. Or there's a section in the show when most of the performers leave the stage while one member remains to do a solo number, and it would sound a lot better if all the unused microphones were turned off. If you're doing a corporate event, you'll probably have certain mics or combinations of mics that need to be switched on and off throughout the meeting. Mute groups provide a convenient way to activate and deactivate different combinations of channels very quickly. Here's how to set up a mute group on a TouchMix. First, open the Mute Groups page by pressing Mute Groups on the mixer. Now press Edit in the upper right-hand corner of the screen. This brings up the Mute Group Setup and Configuration screen. Select the mute groups you want to configure using the tabs at the top of the screen. Now, you can add channels to the group using the assignment buttons. You can also name the group. Once the group is set up and named, you can use the mute group at any time by pressing the Mute Groups button to access the Mute Groups page, and then press the Mute button on the group or groups you want to mute. With the mute group activated, you will notice that the mute buttons for all assigned channels will turn orange on the main fader screen. This is to denote that the channels have been muted by something other than the channel mute button directly. You'll also see the same indication when a DCA or subgroup is muted as well. More on that later. If there is a particular mute group that you'd like quick access to, you can assign it to a user button. In the TouchMix menu, press User Buttons. Select the user button you wish to assign the mute groups to using the tabs at the top of the screen. Now in the Action column, select Mute, followed by Toggle Mute Group in the Selection column. Now, select the desired mute group from the Details column. Press the Assign button and confirm the assignment on the pop-up window. Your user button is now assigned and will toggle your mute group on and off. If a channel is assigned to more than one mute group, either group will mute the channel when activated. If both mute groups are activated at the same time, that channel or channels will be double muted. Muteception. We've got mutes inside of mutes. Okay, for real. If both mute groups are activated, the channel is obviously muted. If only one group is deactivated, that channel will still be muted by the active mute group that it is assigned to. If you have assigned channels to more than one mute group, be sure to remember what assignments have been made and keep track of what channels are being muted by what mute groups.
Now that we understand mute groups, let's move on to DCAs. A DCA groups channels together so that the overall level can be adjusted with a single fader. A DCA does not change the position of the actual channel faders because no signal actually passes through it at any time. It simply adds or subtracts gain to all channels within the group relative to their current fader positions. So, if you move a DCA fader up 3 dB, all of the assigned channels will have a 3 dB increase from their current level. And if you move the DCA fader down 3 dB, guess what? I'm sure you get the idea. With the DCA fader set to 0 or unity, the signal is not affected at all. You can think of that as the starting point. From there, you can move the signal up or down accordingly. Let's go ahead and take a look at how to set this up. On the TouchMix, navigate to the DCA fader bank using the Bank Navigation button at the top of the screen. Before you assign a channel to a DCA, you should know that as soon as you do, the channel level will be changed according to the DCA fader position. So if you have a DCA fader set at -6 dB, the level of any channel you assign will be decreased by 6 dB. On the other hand, if you unassign that channel from the DCA group, the channel's level will jump by 6 dB. With the DCA set to unity, the level is not affected at all. That's why the default setting for DCA faders is unity. Just like any other channel on the TouchMix, touching the name above the fader will open up the channel settings. On the DCA setup screen, you will see assignment buttons for every channel that can be assigned. Select the channels you want to include in the DCA by pressing these buttons. A simple example would be to set up 4 groups. Our first group can be drums. Drums are a good candidate because it typically takes multiple channels to accommodate all of the drum mics. After assigning channels to a group,
it's a good idea to give the group a name to help stay organized. Guitars would be next. If you have more than one guitarist, or if the guitar player is using two mics on his cab for a stereo effect, making a group makes sense. Next we can group the keys. A keyboard is typically stereo and takes up 2 channels. It's also common for keyboardists to utilize more than one keyboard in their setup. The fourth group could be vocals. You've got lead vocals and any backup vocals that can be grouped together. And no one cares about bass. Just kidding. Bass typically takes up a single channel, so why use a DCA? It all depends on your preferences, but some engineers like to mix the show from the DCAs, so they'll assign everything, even things that only occupy a single channel. It's also fairly common to run the bass direct to the mixer while also putting a microphone on the bass cabinet on stage. This would take up 2 channels, which could be placed into a group. So that should make the bass player feel more respected. We could also add a 6th DCA and assign all the effects returns to that. So you can either increase or decrease the amount of effects to the entire mix with just a single fader. On that note, it is important to know that if a channel is assigned to a DCA, the DCA will change how much signal the channel is sending to the effects. A more complex example would be creating 8 groups. This might be used in a more demanding mixing situation. If there is a band involved, we can still group our drums, guitars, keys, and vocals like we've already done. Maybe we'll also have a brass section or a large choir section, maybe both. We can set up groups for those as well. Let's say the event requires speaking mics and perhaps we have some type of background music or video playback happening as well. We can create a group for all of the speaking mics and then another group including any multimedia playback channels. Depending on the event, these will vary, of course. Larger events such as houses of worship, corporate events, theatrical performances and such would more likely take advantage of something similar to this. If a channel is assigned to more than one DCA, the effects of each DCA are cumulative upon the original channel. There are very few practical applications where assigning channels to more than one DCA would be useful, however. Just like with mutes, we can also assign outputs to DCA groups. If you have supplementary loudspeakers set up in different locations throughout the venue, you're probably running those from aux outputs. Sometimes there may be more than one aux feeding a single location. In this instance, we can assign our multiple aux outputs to a DCA, and now we can adjust the level of the entire zone with a single fader. It is also common to use an aux feed for subwoofers. We can assign both the aux and the main output to a DCA to give us the ability to control the overall system on a single fader. Here's a common problem that you might come across, and here's a way that you can use the DCAs to fix this. One of the stage wedges begins to feed back during a performance. You don't know which one it is, but the ringing is really annoying and you're getting dirty looks from the band. Wouldn't it be great if you could bring down the level of all of the wedges by just a few dB until you can deal with the problem? Easy. Just assign a DCA to control all the stage monitors before the show, and you'll be ready if the problem arises. Once all of our DCAs are set, we can exit the DCA setup by pressing Home to get back to the main faders. Here we have our named DCA channels. We can use the faders to make broad changes to the mix levels without affecting the balance set between the inputs at the channel level. When making changes to assignments in the DCA, remember to always have the DCA fader at the unity position. Otherwise, you may experience sudden changes in level on channels being unassigned from the DCA. Pretty simple.
That's all for now regarding mute and DCA groups. In the next video, we're going to go over subgroups on the TouchMix 30 Pro specifically. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.